Oh, it's always so loud when she says that. Okay, perfect. Welcome to the heart-based meditation course. I was about to say, and that's why I wanted to start the recording, is that I've been using and working with this meditation for I don't even know how many years, so many years, and it's such a big part of my life, but I don't teach it very often. So I'll speak a lot more from like my experience and all that, but I also might read from notes just because it's been a while and I want to make sure that I hit all the topics. Our teacher, Paul, is freaking amazing, and he has made little videos that explain a little bit about like consciousness and some of the things. So I'll just send that as a follow-up. You can watch in your own time and kind of explore some of those concepts a little more in depth. I think they'll feel very familiar, but it might be like a slightly different twist. A lot of this is rooted in sort of the Vedic, Ayurvedic perspective on consciousness and life and how the being is made of multiple levels, multiple layers, like from physical and gross and tangible all the way to very, very subtle, which is really what we work with this meditation. So, um, yeah, and it's basically a transcendental style meditation. And we'll talk about what that means. And so if you have, does anyone have background with, show of hands with TM, Transcendental Meditation, or know anyone that does that? Yeah. Did you ever take the course or no? Yeah. Yeah, well, TM is like a whole system that's like you have to pay and do the whole thing. Like, no, you didn't do that. Yeah. But it's like a familiar concept. Yeah. Yeah, it's really amazing medicine. And our teacher, Paul, is he's an Ayurvedic doctor and a doctor. He's just like pulled from so many different places. And he's always like, this is just the knowledge of the people. He's not like, this is the way, this is the only way. He's like, try it, see what works. And that's how I approach life in general too. Like I like to introduce concepts and be like, give this a try, see if it works. Obviously, it's really working for me. And like I've worked with a lot of different techniques, and like this is the one that's landed really deep. So I'm passionate about it, but so it's fun to share it. And also you might find that other things work better for you, and that's no problem. Um, but yeah, so it's really kind of through experiencing, like whenever I do deeper trainings or like retreats in this in heart-based meditation, whenever we like ask a question like, but how does this work? Paul's always about like giving us the experience, like go into your heart. What's it like for you? Instead of like this, this is how it is. And like, of course, the mind needs to be engaged and needs to understand, and like the concepts and the techniques will come through the mind, and that's really helpful. Oh, it looks like Samara is here. Um, but and also like the mind's a terrible master. Like we need to transcend the mind and go deeper and experience life in that way. So let's open with just like a little bit of introduction, just seeing who's here. Would love to hear your name, if you want to share your pronouns also. And then just if you want to share any experience you've had with meditation, and maybe it's none, or maybe you just don't feel like sharing, that's totally fine. There's no expectation. And we'll go around at home and also in person. Um, and maybe it's more about like what you're curious about with this. Like what are you excited about with this meditation, and learning this maybe is more aligned with what you want to share today. And we'll keep it wonderfully brief. Expansive yet brief. Oh my gosh, I should introduce this right now. There's this expression where I'm from, that I love to use in retreat too, because there's always like, oh, let's share, let's talk. And we say, prends ton temps, mais fais ça vite, which means take your time, but be quick, like be short. So like, pages concise. It's a good one. You'll hear me say that a few times. So yeah, I feel like I kind of did that a little bit. My name, my pronouns are she, her. Um, and truly, I came to meditation just through studying yoga and Ayurveda and getting really interested in holistic medicine. And it's always been so embedded in everything that I studied. And it was really when I started to meditate daily that like I've been doing a lot of yoga and this and that, but it was the meditation that was the turning point. And when I started doing more retreats and going deeper, that's when a lot of things really started to shift and evolve for me, and some of my old patterns and some of the triggers and all that. Like, I'm like, whoa, like the changes really started speeding up. And it was during the first 2 years of the pandemic with Paul, we started doing these monthly at home deep immersions, like Friday night to Sunday, like a retreat. And so that's when I really noticed it was just like, wake up joyful in the morning, no matter what, like little things like that. And then throughout the day, just really noticing like that sped up kind of process. That's why I'm really excited. And it feels really important to me to bring this into the retreat, because it's like we're already going to really ground, really slow down, like naturally just being there. So bringing that little extra touch of meditation is going to be pretty potent. So, okay, enough for me. Do you guys want to go first in person? Yeah, you look ready. All right, man. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see each other. And I think if you project, my mic should pick it up pretty good.
Yeah,
So
project.
let's project. It's also pretty echoey in this room. Let's see. All right, here we go.
Hi, my name's Marin.
Whoops. Sorry. There you go. I'll hold it. It's the cord, yeah.
What was next? She, her. My background with meditation is varied. Probably the person I studied with the most is Tara Brach. So kind of a traditional mindfulness meditation is kind of always what I've brought in. I taught yoga for a million years, so that style of movement and then stillness. So I feel comfortable meditating, but I've been in this building for years and never had a chance to learn about this specific style. So I'm super excited to have, more. I'm kind of a lifelong learner, always interested in more, deeper, broader. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, and just the immersive quality of being in a group together, not having to cook and clean and walk dogs for a week, and being in the sunshine and like really getting deeper. Yeah, I'm looking forward to all that. Did I check all the boxes?
Yeah, that's great.
And
That's
keep
great.
it brief.
Yeah. You did it.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Thank you. Great first one.
Yeah, get it all out, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Vite, vite.
Vite, vite.
Vite,
Fast, fast. Vite, vite. All right, is this working? Yeah, you can see Paul. Nice. Awesome. The camera keeps moving. You got this.
My name is Paul Markowitz, he, him. I was trying to think, I think I first started learning meditation, I was in my early 20s. Totally graduated from college, lost like what the hell's next, and learned it at like a Zen Buddhist meditation center. Turns out Zen Buddhism wasn't for me, but I got the basics. It was a mantra-based meditation. And I think I've modified that. I think my meditation is mostly breathing things. Maybe I start with the mantra and move to breathing. The other thing is I'm not a daily practice. I find myself meditating when I'm going through difficult periods in my life.
Yeah.
And when things are going good, not so much. Anyway. So I really, this is kind of a surprise, this thing, learn it. I'm like, okay, I can always deepen my meditation. I love it when I do it. I find when I, it takes me very little time to like get into it once I'm, my mind doesn't keep wandering. So I'm totally excited about learning something. I mean, it's been 40-something years. I'm ready to learn something new about meditation.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks. Sweet. At home, would you like to share? You can say yay or nay. Yay, do you want to go, Karen?
I'm Karen. Let's see. Well, I guess, yeah, I think yoga was also somewhat of my, like, I started practicing yoga when I was young, and not that young, but young. And I think that was my gateway into meditation. And it's something that's always like struck some various different chords in me. And I've experimented with different styles, including like going to a Vipassana retreat and doing that, and then coming back and really, dedicating like the 1 or 2 hours a day to meditation. And I had a really profound experience at that retreat. Like it really changed my life, and how I understood the physical body and energy being, how energy just affects our physical body and our emotional bodies, how they affect our physicality. And so it was really powerful to me, but also not, for me, it was I couldn't keep it up, the practice. But I also found a lot of my meditation practices through some of my herbal teachers. I've studied a lot of herbal medicine, and then not just and just learning different practices through them, and then sitting with plants, and really like just learning from, sitting in the garden, or taking different herbs and going really deep into that. And then I would say my life is sort of like I ebb and flow with really staying dedicated to my meditation practice, and then like falling out, and then coming back and falling out. So yeah, excited. And one of the things one of my teachers had taught us was this, like we would do a lot of meditating where we would just breathe in and out through our heart. And so I love the idea. Like, I don't know what heart-based meditation is, but there's a resonance for me. And anyway, looking forward to just dropping back in and committing. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. That's awesome. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Samara, and this is Freya. If you
Hi,
can
Freya.
She is not coming to the retreat, although she would love to, I'm sure. Yes, I know. I attended, Joanie knows, I was at the last retreat that we did last year. So I've done heart-based meditation, and I appreciated its accessibility and sort of ability to do it anywhere at any time. And
Freya's stealing the show.
Yeah, thank you. And my history with yoga is long. I've done yoga since high school, and wrapped that in sort of with a meditation practice type thing, but never had a regular, I've never really had the ability to have a regular yoga meditation practice at home, or throughout my day. I have sort of a mindfulness based practice that just sort of I bring into my everyday life. So yeah, that's maybe that quick it up.
Yeah, totally. That's great. Yeah. We'll bring all the pieces together.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Marion, would you close that window for me? It can just be that outside one. It's fine. It gets noisy. Oh,
Say one other thing.
yeah, of course.
My favorite place to meditate is outside next to moving water.
Next to moving water.
It's the sound of water.
How about the ocean?
So you're gonna have to take a field trip and have
A meditation on the
Moving
beach.
water. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, the little creeks and the rivers. Yeah, that's a big one. Walking. Yep. And that's a good segue also, because I feel like we have so many concepts of what meditation is and can be, and truly actually is, right? Like it can mean walking meditation, it can mean mindfulness, it can mean, and in this context, it might actually mean something really different than some of the things you've learned, even if it was 40 years ago. It might be very different, because I feel like most meditations, and I have spent a fair amount of time with Vipassana, I'm familiar with it too. It's very focused oriented, very like we're used to like focusing on the breath, or even with a mantra, often we're taught to focus on the mantra and use the mantra with the breath, or I don't know, there's a million different things, like even certain things that might be a meditation that's like guided, like you're actually using imagery and like you're using your mind and all that. take all this and put it right here where it's all true and all good and all wonderful and all supportive. And we're going to learn something that might be like right here, which actually has nothing to do with concentration, has nothing to do with breath. It has everything to do with letting go. So we're letting go of everything. Of course, we're going to use breath. We're going to use breath to center and calm in the beginning. Like it's really nice to do some pranayama, maybe some alternate nostril to just kind of bring yourself to a quieter place. When you bring the mantra in, and we'll start working with that today so you can go home and work with it, you start the mantra, and all you do beyond that is actually let go. Eventually, you have no awareness of your breath. You have no awareness of your body. You have no, and then maybe, oop, you're aware again. And for me, it was one of the biggest things in learning heart-based meditation was like I'm so used to being focused on my breath. And sometimes I still am, and that's totally fine too. Like it's whatever the experience is. It's this meditation's about acceptance and letting go, like way about that. So it's really good medicine for all of life. It's good practice just in that element. But you're really not trying to match the mantra to your breath. You're not trying. You're just being. You're just experiencing deeper states of consciousness. And through that, you start to lose track of time. Like sometimes I have sits that feel like it was day, like maybe not days, but like hours, and you're like, oh, I didn't go to work, and you realize your bell goes off right then. Like it just stretches time. And sometimes it's like no time is gone, and you're like ding, and you're right out of it. Like you're really going into consciousness in a way that can not only, but can really happen through letting go and through trusting the process of that. So we can already start that. Like you can already feel my shift in the body a little bit. Like, oh, I can just accept my experience as it is. There's plenty of times when I sit on my cushion and I feel like I just had thoughts the whole time. And you can accept that experience too, because you were still present with the mantra. There's still transcending that happens, even if it's like little split seconds between thoughts, it's happening. And even my busiest, most stressful, most purifying sits, when it ends, I can tell my body is in a different place. Like it has such a deep healing effect on the nervous system. Like even though my mind's like, that didn't work, that didn't do anything. Like actually I can feel it. Like I can tell that something happened, and you just trust that and you keep going, you keep going. So we'll talk about like all the little aspects of that. Like what do you do when there's a lot of thoughts? What do you do when there's a lot of emotion? And that's also why this course is over 3 sessions, so that we can kind of build on things and like go home and work with it. Have those experiences, bring your questions back, or reach out this week before the next session too. So I can help you as it's unfolding. But I want to send you home today with like enough that you sort of know what you're doing by not knowing, right? Like by trying to let go. So you have enough tools to start working with it, and then we'll keep building on that basically. And heart-based meditation is really 2 practices. So today we're going to focus on the actual meditation itself. The second practice is called heart centering, and I'm curious to see how it lands for you, Karen, with like some of the practices you've done with the breath and the heart. It becomes a tool in everyday life. Like you're having a conversation, you can choose. Like we're really starting to shift the awareness. Most people's awareness, like behind the eyes, sometimes over here, like there's a lot in the head, right? We're starting to really have a practice of centering in the heart. You're about to have maybe even a difficult conversation, or you're stressed, or like it becomes this tool that's just, the more you get to know your heart, the easiest it is to go into those deeper layers that we'll talk about. And it's really, really beautiful. So you'll get a little taste of that heart centering today, but we'll focus on the meditation so you can go home with those tools and then go from there. So today I'll do a bunch of talking just now, just a little bit more information. Then we'll do an exercise going into the heart. We'll start with the mantra. Then we'll come out. We'll see if there's questions. We can check in a little bit. And then if we have time, we'll do a second short sit together. And then we'll send you home to practice. Does that works? Freya's into it. Good. Awesome. If you need to stretch your legs, go to the bathroom, just let me know. I want to make sure you're comfortable. I'll take out my notes. It says, welcome. Welcome. Another thing that you'll see, I'll send you those extra videos. is this technique has a lot to do with balancing right and left side of the brain. So you'll see one of the videos talks a lot about like what is the right brain about? Like the right brain is more in the present moment, right? It's like arts and colors and being, where the left brain is more of the logical thinking and the timekeeper and all that. So transcendence brings us into more balance between the two and actually more into the right brain. I don't know for you, but I spend plenty of time in my left brain and my like everyday lives and my spreadsheets I've been talking about and complaining about. So it's that like little gift that we're giving ourselves, you know, ideally twice a day. And by the way, it's not for an hour each sit. I know Vipassana is like, okay, now go home. That's what she's saying. Like they're like, go home and you're gonna sit an hour in the morning and an hour at night. And you're like, how? And they're like, don't worry, you won't need to sleep anymore. Basically, is what they tell you. And you're like, okay, going, Kaji, I love you, but and I'll tell you now, the prescription, the ideal time for this is 20 minutes. It's a really great place to start, a 20-minute sit in the morning, ideally a second time in the day, and we'll talk about this. It's really hard for me to sit a second time. I don't know, I have a total resistance with that. But the second sit of the day is like the juicy one. So maybe you can help me bring that into my life. But we'll talk about that. Maybe the second sit is 10 minutes instead of 20. Like we can adjust that a little bit, but they're not an hour long sit.
2 sits.
In Costa Rica, I'm currently planning to have us do a 20-minute sit every morning, like after our movement practice, and then incorporating hopefully a second sit. It's funny because like you see how I'm so resistant to it is that I didn't even build in a second sit. I'm like, whatever. It's my resistance is applied to you too. But we have the yeah, it wants to know the schedule. Get in your right brain now. Yes, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? We'll have an afternoon session that will have some element of meditation, so might as well do a short sit. Ding ding ding. That's how I will land in my practice. Thank you. Yep. Okay, what do I mean when I say heart? I think that probably is a fairly maybe that's a no-brainer for you and that makes sense, but I find it confusing sometimes if I just like mention it like in a yoga class or something. It's like, oh, we have a physical heart that's beating and all that. That's actually not what I'm talking about, but it relates to the physical heart, of course. What I'm talking about is what you might have heard called like the heart chakra, like the center of the chest as part of the chakra system is the heart space. But I'm also not talking about the heart chakra because we go actually deeper in the energetic, heart. And the concept is that basically any of the chakras, and there's actually way more than 7, are tremendous gateways into being. You can use any part of your being to go into being as in Atman, as in consciousness. And it so happens that the heart, the energy of the heart has to do with joy and compassion and peace and like all the goodness, right? And it's a little more accessible sometimes for people to work with the third eye or the crown or and it is sort of the connection between the lower chakras and the higher chakras. So it's just a really beautiful way to access being, but it's not the only way. And then having the other practices. And the cool thing with our retreat too, that we'll have our group is that I will also introduce some of the other healing practices that now that you have this experience of the heart, we can go a little deeper in helping break down some of the patterns and access more of that self-love that we talk about all the time. So the heart as a gateway, the heart as in what you might call the spiritual heart, as you might call being, is mostly what we're talking about here. And if you were to think of it as like a physical location or like we'll feel into the physical layer, the kosha, it's in the center of the chest. And maybe your physical heart will talk to you too. That's a great thing. That's the general location we're talking about. And then sorry, I shouldn't rub my shirt right next to the mic. I hope that wasn't too loud. And the right brain has a lot to do with sound and music, right? And that's where the mantra also comes in, that it helps the mind sort of let go and go in. You know, it's like when you listen to music and you just like your thoughts are not there anymore. You're just kind of drawn into it. That's part of why we use a mantra. Okay, I'm going to read this paragraph. Growing the heart is one of the fastest and easiest ways to develop as an adult. Because it comes from the principle that we are told that we stop growing at like 18 or 25, right? The brain's fully grown and that's it. Haha, yay. But like that through consciousness, and now we know more through science and all that, that like new pathways are created in the brain all the time. And so this is like a technique that helps us do more of that. Doing so, we connect with the big S, the source of love, which I've been talking about more as being, and to come to know the being that we are beyond our thoughts and our feelings. We identify less with mental and emotional patterns, concepts, and judgments, and we come to know the fullness of being itself. Did we do that? I think I covered a lot of that. Sanya, well, you're already here, so this is what we're doing. Yeah, keywords here I see like pure being, pure consciousness. Maybe I'll send you even some of this to read through. That might be really interesting for you guys to read some of that stuff. I don't really want to read the whole thing right now. So yeah, that's basically what I've been saying. Like we're through letting go, through surrender, we naturally go beyond the thoughts and the emotions. We're not like, I'm going to focus on this thing, so I'm not thinking about anything else. Forget that. We're letting go into being. Ha, finally. Finally. If we want to accelerate our growth to the max, we can explore integrating all of the heart-based spiritual practices, such as radical acceptance, presence, gratitude, forgiveness, compassion, faith, and appreciation through mentoring or through our own month or through like the meditations and the heart-based practices. I will say, I said earlier that like for me, like the meditation was when I experienced most growth. Is also like I do work with people one-on-one with that. Is the major shift was that changes started happening from the inside out. And like to change behavior, to grow as a human, using the mind to change the mind, it works eventually, right? Like maybe you're trying to change a pattern by thinking your way through or through out of it. Like that's really hard. But by developing consciousness, you start to realize like, oh, I don't have that judgment anymore. Like literally, like that's happened to me, it's happened to my clients. Like you start popping into these states and like you can relate, I can see in your eyes of like
Master's house.
dismantle what? The master's house?
Tools will never dismantle the master's house.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like what's the Einstein quote to like the problems we have now cannot be solved by the same mind that created them. Like it's kind of that concept. And it's fascinating that by basically not doing, we heal. And we talk about it in yoga all the time. Like it's not because I'm forcing my way into the stretch, it's because I actually like allow and let go, then my hip actually opens. It's the same concept. All right, well, let's do it. Good. Do we want to use the bathroom or anything? We're going to sit here for a few minutes. We're good. Cool. You guys can still hear me well at home? Yeah, good, good. So let's go into a practice and I will walk us through the layers. I've been referring to like the physical, the emotional, blah, blah, blah. We're going to walk through some of this. There might be moments still that I read, just I want to make sure I want to cover everything. And then I'll introduce you to the mantra. I'll walk you through the whole thing. There'll be some silence. And then I think I use a timer when I sit. So it's just a bell at the end, and that will be a way that you can start getting used to that. And you're probably familiar with it too. When the bell rings, you're not just like done and out, like stay in it and I'll give you instruction, but that will also help me go a little deeper. So I'm not keeping an eye on the clock, like I can actually sit with you a little deeper. So let me prep my bell. So when I'm ready for it, I don't need my quote of the day right now. Thank you. It's the insight timer, yeah. Which is if you don't have it or you don't have a good timer, I'll send you a follow-up email with the stuff because some people sometimes you don't realize you like teach them that and they start with like a phone ringer and you have to like go stop it and all that. It's nice to just have like a little bell that goes off and you know it's ringing, you can still stay and transition gradually out of it is really helpful. But there's tons of great timers out there now. Let me test the volume right now just to make sure that when we're using it. Oop. You hear it at home? You didn't hear it. Let me do the higher pitched one. We use my morning one instead. That's the evening one that I never use. No, just kidding. Did you hear that? No? Okay, you'll hear my voice too. Yeah, that's better. I'll have it close to me, but I'll also speak right after it. So. Ah, nope, not no.
Just say bell, bell.
Bell ringing, ringing. Just go, ah! No, it's so relaxing. All right, loves, get yourself comfortable. Maybe a little stretching, a little moving, just to make sure. And there's no right or wrong as far as sitting. And in fact, I should have said this in hard base because it's so much about letting go. It's really, really helpful to have back support. And I know a lot of techniques are like, oh, you're supposed to sit up, stall, and all that, and we'll talk about that. But for now, really let yourself be in a tall seated position, but the back support allows you to melt a little bit more and to be a little bit more relaxed in your physical body. And so get into a position where you can feel that support and that calm in your body. And with this experience we're about to go into together, one of the most important things is to really honor your experience. So whatever comes up, whatever is true for you in the moment, honor that, be present with that. And I might guide you into different places and all that, and it might work, it might not work, just really starting to hone in on that acceptance practice that we were talking about. So right here, choosing to honor your experience and also be curious and open. So we'll simply start with the physical plane. Bring your awareness to the space between your shoulder blades and to your back. And as you enter in towards the center of your chest, see if you notice any physical sensations. And it can be anything. Maybe there's some tension or some openness. Anything you feel in the physical plane. Or just noticing. We're choosing to be present with the experience as it is. And then going into something a little more subtle, into the energetic plane. Do you notice maybe a vibration or a dullness? Some people experience color sometimes with energy or texture. Does it feel open or stuck? And do your best to let any analyzing to the side, just really being present and observing your experience as you go deeper into your heart. I'm staying here just a little longer. It's okay for your mind to be busy, just feeling into your heart space. Sometimes it helps me to kind of look at it from different angles or visit more of the front of the heart, the back. And now let's see if there's any emotion here right now. And there may or may not be. Maybe it feels more like an energy of an emotion. And we're not going necessarily into the story or the emotion itself. You're just noticing what it feels like in your heart. Maybe you can even describe certain qualities of this experience: warm, cold, big, small, rough, smooth. And then let all of that go as we go a little deeper into the intuitive and the spiritual planes. Maybe there's something sort of underneath that emotion or behind it. And just like that, keep observing if there's any sensation or any experience you're having here. What's underneath that? Or maybe going right into the middle of it, staying curious and open, going deeper within your heart. And sometimes it's hard to get beyond an emotion or a sensation. It's helpful to go more towards the back of the heart, where we started. And at some point, you might notice there's not a whole lot here. It just feels open, just feels calm. And for some people, the image of like a microscope can be helpful. Like you're going in and you're opening up this whole world of experience by going deeper and deeper. Maybe you're getting a sense of expansion, a sense of peace. And if so, really let yourself feel into that spaciousness, into that openness, into that nothingness. And sometimes you might even feel a bit of a subtle joy or love, or even some light as you spend more time here and you rest here. And honor your experience as it is. Maybe you can feel into the peacefulness. This is the region that's beyond the emotional heart. It's the universal heart, the spiritual heart, leads to true self. Just relax here. And as you keep feeling into this, I will now share with you a sound, a mantra that can become associated with this level of the heart space, that can effortlessly take us here and deeper. And so just keep your awareness gently, gently centered in your heart and relax. Ah, ah, ah. You can start singing this silently to yourself with me. Ah, 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 Keep going quietly to yourself. And even quieter. And keep singing it to yourself, quieter and quieter. Having that sense that it's leading you deeper and deeper inward, relaxing into the silence. And when you find yourself thinking or being pulled out of the piece, you gently turn your attention back to that sound and repeat it quieter and quieter. So you're letting it carry you back to that peacefulness, that spaciousness, or that bliss, relaxing deeper and deeper within, relaxing into that silence. And we'll continue like this for about 10 minutes until the bell rings. Keep going. And just take a minute or two, you let go of the mantra and just rest in your transition. I'll read you a little something here. This meditation is not about the mantra. It's about letting go into our being. The sound is only a vehicle for this letting go into being. We don't focus on the sound. We don't use it to get rid of the thoughts or the external sounds. We just use it to lead us back inward. We let it be a vague notion or a subtle feeling. We attend to the subtle feel of the sound. We let the sound change in its pronunciation or in its rhythm. We let it disappear. We let it be together with thoughts. We accept every experience and we resist nothing. And here's the only thing that we do. We do. When we realize that we're out of that peace within, when we realize that we're maybe we've hopped on that train of thought, going with it, we just gently come back to the mantra, easily, gently turning our attention back to it. It doesn't have to be in the heart. The mantra will move. It'll feel like it's going different places. You're just coming back to it. As if it's almost like you're listening for it to be there. The more you work with this, the more familiar it will feel too. And then you just let go again. So you bring yourself gently back to the mantra and you let go. We let go of the physical body. We don't have to anchor ourselves or awareness in the heart space. We just let go. We allow whatever happens to happen. We accept everything and resist nothing. I love that. It's also totally fun to have thoughts. We will go into that, but thoughts that emerge within the meditation are purification. They represent old impressions on the mind. They represent old patterns, old stress that we're releasing from the nervous system. And they also don't have to do, like, they don't have an actual association with the stress they're releasing. So there's no need to analyze, like, oh, I had this thought during meditation. I had that thought. Like, there is no use to do that. You just let it go. You let it go. You let it go. Sometimes we feel like we had like a giant aha moment in the middle of the meditation, like this really, and like you have to like pull yourself out of it to write it down or something. Like, just trust that if it's meant to be like a strong realization, it'll still be there after and it's true. Or it'll come back to you later that day. That happens to me all the time. Like, oh yeah, I thought of that. That was a good idea. But like During the meditation, you're just letting go. You're just letting go and letting go and letting go. There's this really great story that Paul tells when he teaches this of this man that was like, every time I go into my deep meditation place, I have this really like life-changing, world-healing thought, and I can never remember it. So then he forced himself in the middle of a meditation. He opened an eye, scribbled something down, went back in. And when he ended his meditation, he looked at what he wrote down, and it said to fill all the potholes with peanut butter. It was a genius idea, but it wasn't. Like it was actually, it's like the energy of it was important, right? Not the actual content of the thought. That sticks with me. I love that story. So having thoughts can actually be a really good sign with this type of meditation with transcendence because it means you're purifying, you're releasing a lot. You might fall asleep while you meditate. That also happens to me. Like sometimes it's kind of asleep, but not really, and that's why we're supported. So I can let go of my body so much. And honestly, like if you open your eyes while I meditate, I'm just like like there's like a lot of like letting go happening. I'm not like fully perfectly sitting up because that would require some level of effort. So as long as you can let go, um, and you want to start with a tall posture, but it's okay. Like sometimes I'll be here and I'll bring myself back, and that's okay. You want to be able to let go completely. If you're really, really tired and you can't stay aware in the meditation, your body needs to sleep so bad, like just sleep. Like take that time. Your body's telling you exactly what you need. Like lay down when the bell goes off, you're done. It'll be the best nap of your life. I can testify. And there was a lot of outside noises in the room and probably distractions if Freya was around and wanted to sit with you and stuff. We treat that just like thoughts, like, oh, they come up, we let them go, we let them be. We're with the mantra gently. The mantra's there at the same time. There's emotion, whatever is here, we're just gently with the mantra. We go in, we realize it's not there anymore. You bring it back. It's so simple that it's hard. You know what I mean? Like, and we'll take questions in just a sec. Like, and at first it might match your breath. That's okay. You're experiencing that. You're going with it, right? And eventually it won't match your breath anymore. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Whatever it is, it's accept everything and resist nothing. I want to make a t-shirt. This is really intense. Sweet. Any questions? What was that like? Any shares at home or in person? What was that like?
Actually, could you just say the mantra?
The mantra?
Without, so I'm not sure I got it.
Nope. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Yep.
I'd like to just hear.
Yeah. So the thing with the mantra is it will change. It will become your own thing. And what I'm teaching you today is what we call the universal mantra. And just I'm giving you more information and answering your question right now, but we call it a mantra, but it doesn't have an actual meaning. Like I feel like in yoga and like a lot of other practices too, it's like, oh, you want to know what it means. And we're not trying to like bring the mind into it, right? So it's the sounds are chosen based on their vibration and their ability to bring us in. One thing we do when we teach this is we teach a universal mantra. And then once you're working with this for some time, we can also teach you a personal mantra. And honestly, it works with like planetary influences. You can look at a person's chart. Like it's a really cool process. They're all very similar, but there's like some small subtleties that you can work with also if you're interested. But the universal mantra I worked with for years before I changed my mantra, and it's actually kind of hard to change after a while because you're so used to it. And the reason why we don't like write it down, spell it out for you is because it's more about the sound and the experience, and it has to become your own thing. It has to become an exchange. So what I'll do is whoever feels the need to hear it again is after class, I'll stay because for some of you, maybe it already landed. And I'm curious to hear also for you, Samara, since you did it last year too, like maybe your mantra had already shifted and changed, like doing it in the class again might feel like, oh, it's very different. Like just honoring your experience is the most important part, and it will change, and like the rhythm will change and all that. So yes, I can say it again, but I'll only do it for those of you that feel like you really want to hear it again. And it's a very common experience. Most classes, people are like, but and also then there's your left brain too. That's like, did I get it right? But you also do want to feel solid that I'm sending you home with something you can work with.
Right, but if you've had a mantra you've been using for X number of years.
Yes.
So it doesn't really matter what the mantra is, or
It does. Yeah. For this like sort of transcendence type, you want it to be a sound that can really draw you in that way and has no other association. So I would really recommend working with this mantra. Yeah. Yeah, and like other practices that you already do are great to do with this. So maybe you start your morning practice, you do some movement, you do your breathing, and then you go into this. Or you use your other mantra through the day, and this is the one that you can play with this and see what works. Yeah. Yeah. Questions? Comments? You blissed out? That's great.
I enjoyed it, and I'm like, Paul might need you to give me the mantra again. I feel like I might know it, but I want to hear it again.
Yeah. And it's great too that like your mind's already letting go in a way too. Like I mean it's not letting go because you want to make sure you have it, but there's like an element of like you just went right into it. And maybe like you received it and then you let it go almost instantly. That's a good thing. You told me to let go. Yeah, hey, let go. That's awesome. Yep, that's great. So we'll do that for those of you who want. So that's really, and again, there'll be a lot more pieces as your questions come up this week, as you have certain experiences to like take some notes and bring them to the group for next week. It's super helpful. It's really helpful to hear like, hey, this thing happened. What would you do with that? Or like for 2 days straight, like I could never find my mantra. What do you do? Like all these things are going to come up. And like some of them I'll probably just bring up in the instruction in case it happens in the future. But what's really cool is we'll be on retreat together. And so we're going to start going deeper and I'm going to start teaching you things to help you go deeper too. So a lot of those things are going to come up and you'll likely feel really solid, by the end of that week, like having had this practice leading up to it. So that's my hope. It's so simple, but it was really hard in the beginning. Like the letting go is not easy. I don't know. Maybe you're a master, but I don't know. You look like you were saying something. Yeah.
Mantra for me, like still going. It's like,
Uh-huh.
like this,
You got a soundtrack now.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
it's going. And like in and out.
Yeah. There's the trailing off also, like the om or a singing bowl. You know how like your mind kind of like relaxes into that? That's part of what's happening too. Like that's why the last sound of the mantra is that And the magic is that actually in a way, the whole point is to lose the mantra, right? Because you're going in and in and in. And the moment you realize that you lost it, then you're back in thought, and that's why you bring it back. But like these gaps are gonna start happening. That's what I meant by time is weird, body is weird, or sometimes like for me it's dips. And then you come out and you're like, wow, I totally missed the bell, or my arm feel like it's over there, or like whatever the experience is, like those are all ways that our brain understands like ooh, I just went really deep. Yeah, it's just fascinating. So yeah, take note of those experiences you're having. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to say for today. And we will work more with the heart centering. So today I walked you through the steps, right? Like those are in Ayurveda, they're called the koshas. They're the layers of being into Atman, into being in the middle, being as in being, into consciousness. But for now, the only thing that you do, you get comfortable, you get ready, you take one deep breath, and that exhales, you're letting go. You can, and something that's really powerful is actually to set an intention, and your intention is literally just to let go. So like bringing your mind into this moment, like my intention is to let go. Exhale. And then your awareness will just gently go into your heart. You don't have to walk yourself through the layers, all that. There's no doing. You're just going there. And it's, we say as if listening for your mantra to be there. in the beginning, yours might already be like already there. It's already landed. But sometimes for me, I just have to be like, okay, come on, come here. Like just, okay, now I have it, and then I can let go. But the more you do it, the easier it gets, and it just kind of feels like you go in your heart and like, there it is, da da da, it's waiting for you. And the other element with these mantras that I find fascinating is that there are sounds that are already within you. So you're just tuning in. It's like Om, right? It's very similar to Om, actually, this mantra, because it's already a vibration that's in us, but it's a vibration that's pretty high, and that's bringing us into these higher states. Take the practice however it comes. Oh, and it's super important to take time to emerge. You probably noticed. Do you imagine like ding and up and out? Like it's like we can bring us pretty deep. So again, I'll send you in the email, I'll send you the link, but you can look up the app Insight Timer is the one I use that I really like because you can set multiple bells. So the way I have mine set up is I usually give myself like 2 to 3 minutes in the beginning for like warm up. So like breath or just arriving, stretching. So I'll have like a starting bell, and then by the time I'm like, oh, relaxed, then it's like ding, okay, now I begin. So there's a 2 to 3 minute warm up, a bell, my sit, there's an ending bell, and then I have another bell because sometimes that like 2 minutes before you open your eyes, I go right back in and then I don't have time for breakfast or whatever, right? So I found that really helpful. Like I give myself 5 minutes. I have a few different ones that I use like on the weekends. I might add other practices. I might do like 10 minutes after or a nap or something. So having that extra bell helps me in my transition. I've let go of the mantra. I can still stay really deep for a little bit. And then I know something will help me emerge from that.
Tell me about why have a timer to end? I mean, I meditate, but I've never used a timer before. I guess when I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Retired life. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that, but even when I wasn't with that.
Even, yeah. So
What's that? Is it
mhm.
critical? Or?
Yeah. Yep. It's a really good question because in TM, actually, they don't have you use a timer, they have you keep an eye on the time. The tremendous value of it is that you can really let go. And like when I said time becomes nothing, you know that after those 20 minutes, you will be emerging and you can trust that there is a container. And for me, when I have a container, I can let go even more. So like I can trust that container. With heart-based meditation, there's a reason why we start you at 20 minutes. There's a reason why we cap it at 30 minutes as well. Where certain practices, it's like an hour, 2 hours, do more and more and more. And this is really different because it's this concept of like if you're the traditional way of I love this analogy, dyeing a cloth. Like say you're trying to dye orange and it's one of your colors. You dip it in to the turmeric water. You have to hang it on the clothesline for the sun, for it to dry, to do it again. And that's how it actually gets its color. That's how it gets deeper and deeper color. So you're dipping into consciousness and you're going out into the world. You're going and you're into the elements, you're integrating your experience, you're dipping again. You're dipping again. And it's just how the practice works, basically. And so there is a bit of a point of no return beyond 30 minutes and all that. So when we do retreats, when we go deeper, we multiply our sits. So we do sequencing, we do movement, personal movement, breathing, a sit, like maybe a longer sit, 30 minutes. Then we go into rest periods, like literally grown-up nap time. It's like the best thing in your life. We're not going to do that in Costa Rica, but you can. You're disappointed. You can go to the hammock. But like when we're doing like meditation retreats and then we repeat, we start over. So there's integration time in between. Then there's a meal, there's a lecture, then a deepening of an integration, a deepening and integration. So it's a different approach than saying I'm going to go into consciousness for hours on end, and there's a value to that container. Now, is there a bigger answer behind that? Yes. Do I know it? No. Do I know it? Like, why is there a point of no return, right? Like, it's that concept that you need to integrate the work for it to deepen. But as I'm saying it, I'm like, oh, there's more there that would be really cool to learn about. Yeah, long answer, but not really an answer. Did that help?
A little bit, I mean, the
Yeah.
integration of, almost taking your practice and then being conscious about it and then reintegrating into the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that process, I think your analogy was good with the dying.
Yeah, the dipping. Mm-hmm. So give it a try. Use a timer, give it a try, see how it works, see how it goes,
Start
and we'll
20 minutes.
start with 20 minutes. Yep. 20 more
Usually,
minutes.
that should stop around 40.
Yeah. We'll build, you'll build up to that pretty quickly with your background. But for this week, do 20 and see how it goes. One thing that sometimes happens with this type of meditation is you can go really deep, really fast too. So feel free to call me if things are coming up. It might be really good, but it might also be a lot of purification. You might be experiencing a lot as far like a lot of healing really fast. There's also some really major energetic shifts happening right now. We're in like a major up leveling. So like learning this right now is super potent. It's always very potent, but it's like whoop, you might be plugging right into that in a really, really good way. So let's stick to 20 minutes for now. Like see how that lands and we can build up from there for sure. But the integration is really key. That's why. And the thing I've noticed too, having trained some people in hard base that have a long background with transcendental meditation, TM, is that container with the bell is really helpful because like the keeping an eye on the time kind of pulls you out of it a little bit. And eventually your body knows when the 20 minutes is over, when the third, that's the thing too, is like you're training your body and at some point like you just kind of like you come out of it and the bell rings after. It's really fascinating. Yeah, your inner timer will kick in. Yeah. Any questions at home? Yep. Oh, there you are.
Oh, did we both? I have no questions. I have the mantra was the same as I remember. And what I remember is that it's the same sound when I'm on a swing.
On a swing, like
Yeah, when you're on a literal swing and the wind is going through your ears, it's the same sound.
that's a cool association.
Yeah. So that's what I remembered the mantra that way. Sort of.
Really adorable. I feel like my inner child is so happy right now.
Like a little kid on that swing, right?
It's a universe.
That's what it reminded me of, and what I recall when we were in Panama. And it was different for me this time, partially because I was struggling a lot in Panama, just with all that stuff. So it was different. It felt easier.
Good.
Thank
Yeah, I'm glad you could be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you all for being open to sharing and being here. And I know there's at least a couple people that will be learning through the recording, and I know they'll be benefiting from all those shares and all that. Yeah, the last piece I'll leave you with, along with imagining your t-shirt that says accept every experience and resist nothing in your meditation, is to enjoy it. Like we are learning to cultivate the heart as in bliss, as in peace, and maybe some meditations will feel really hard and like actually like kind of shitty, but like at the end when you're resting, like bring yourself back to the heart and just be curious. And the more you do that, the more these qualities are going to start unfolding. And again, with the retreat, we'll start really working with some of this stuff. But like approach it with this like opportunity to let go and to enjoy. Like this is a practice that can be really pleasant and really blissful. So hopefully you'll get snippets of that along with purification. I wish you all of it. It's all so tremendous. So yeah.
It's kind of like, there's no such thing as bad chocolate.
Exactly. It's like there's no bad thing as such a thing as a bad chocolate. Yeah, my my teacher always says the only bad meditations are when you don't do. That's for me. Yeah, there's no such thing as a bad meditation. He also said a story of like when he was in doing his medical residency and he was meditating with his wife at the time, and like he was so excited at the end of the day to just go sit with her, and like he really wanted to fall asleep because he was so exhausted. Residency is the worst. And he was so frustrated because he just had thoughts of like all he needed was to purify his nervous system because he was like so stressed and so on all the time, and like it was the most helpful thing that he could do, but you just have to go with it, and like sometimes you get that deep rest and sometimes you don't, and like you just I think it probably got him through through that. Yeah. 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 Sweet. Well, enjoy and reach out. If you have questions this week, we'll be here Monday next week. We'll do the same and more. And I'll send you, yeah, I'll send you a little follow-up and some of those fun little cute videos. Spend some time with that. Thank you. Oh, this is fun. I haven't done this in a while. Thank you so much. I'm Freya's side. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so amazing on retreat. Oh, I'll stick around. Whoever wants to hear the mantra again. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording though. Oh, I need to not leave the meeting. I need to. I don't know. I don't remember how to do all these things.